Okay, hopefully I should be live now. Just gotta organize this screen. Alright, welcome. Alright, what a weekend of fights. Well, the big fight. AJ versus Triple D. That was unexpected. Yep, AJ. The destruction of AJ we'll discuss a bit further in this stream. But we will get into that along with other things. So this is a new format or a new thing I want to start doing with live streams each week and see how it goes. Just a bit of fun, try and engage with people a bit. So if you have any comments or anything, just hit me up. I did receive a comment very early this morning from James Daley. So thanks for the comment, James. Just asking me what's my boxing background and how did I get the channel to 141,000 subscribers. So he said he's a subscriber who enjoys my videos. Well, I was going to reply, but that's a bit of not a difficult question, but more of a long answer for those two questions. Yeah, so my boxing background, the first time I got into the ring, I was probably about 13. So back in the day when there was a place called Police Boys Club, now called the PCYC, Police Citizens Youth Club. So I went there, and they've always got boxing gyms and that in those facilities. So went there, used to go there every Friday, went there, and the boxing gym was open the night that I went. And the trainer was a bit loose. He was just letting all the young kids just jump in the ring and just go toe to toe with each other. So I jumped in, and whenever you lost, if you lost either via him saying that you got knocked out or it would go the distance, and then he would say who won. Yep, I just kept on going through many fighters until I got to one fighter who had been actually boxing, and he was the guy who beat me. And that's when I sort of gained the love for boxing. But unfortunately, I wasn't allowed to actually box at that stage because my mum wouldn't let me. So I had to wait another 3 or 4 years when I was about 16, and then I actually started to get into boxing and training. And I had a bit of a long amateur career, not extensive fight-wise, had about 19, 20 fights. And then I turned pro for about a year and had about 4 pro fights. So that's my boxing background, and I've trained kids as well. I've gone back to my old gym, trained kids, and sort of kept my head in boxing, sort of in and out of the gym and helping with the training from time to time. But not so much anymore, but that's what I used to do. And now I just more watch boxing and analyze fights and things like that. How I got to 141,000 subscribers, that was more from my first long form video, which was a video about Atura Thunder Gaddy and just his life and his career. That actually got me my first 1,000 subscribers. And then I started getting into YouTube Shorts, which was good and bad, because then my channel started to explode, but it was all Shorts fans. And then I just eventually got up and passed 100,000 subscribers. And then I was monetized, and then I did a lot of highlights of previous fights, old fights and things like that. And then YouTube decided to demonetize me because of using used content. So I took down all my shorts and all my long form and just started again. And yeah, I probably shouldn't have taken my long form down. But oh well, that's what I did. And then I got demonetized, and now I don't have the amount of watch hours to actually be monetized. So I have to start all over again. Well, I've been doing this sort of type of content for a little while now. So now I'm just sort of more involved in the what's going on in boxing, news of boxing, analyze of boxing, live stream boxing. So that's what I'm leading into at the moment. And I would do more content regarding like previous fights and more things on the history of boxing, but I just don't have the time at the moment. So maybe if I eventually get to the stage where I do this full time, then I'll start to lean more into that sort of content as well. Because I also love editing as well. So I wanted to start editing things. I had multiple YouTube channels and I just eventually turned to boxing. So, and yeah, boxing was something that I was very familiar with and I enjoy watching fights, and I just started doing content on fights. And it was something I could just do and edit and do that sort of stuff. So anyway, that's it. A bit of a long one, but that's kind of my history and background of boxing and also my channel. So although it's got 141,000 subscribers, I don't really have that much viewership at the moment in terms of long form. But it's building up, and it's building up pretty good. So I'll eventually get there. Anyway, enough about me, because I don't really want to talk about myself too much. That's not what I like doing. And I hope that answers your question, James. Thanks for the comment. Anyway, AJ versus Triple D. What a terrible performance from AJ. I think Triple D and his team came to the floor with a great game plan. And I think Triple D executed their game plan well. What they had been training for in the gym, obviously. He executed it. And that's what it's all about. If you can execute your plan when you get to the actual fight, that's what you want to do. AJ, not so much. I don't know what is going on with AJ, but the defense of AJ is just not there. He just needs to work on his defense. It's horrible. I don't know what they're doing in their training camps for him to have such poor defense at that level. I mean, he was fighting for a world title. If you're fighting for a world title, your defense has to be immaculate. It has to be right up there. It has to be world class. I don't know if he was trying to give up his defense to try and work those counters in, or what they were actually trying to do, but I don't think it actually was working. Yeah, and anyway, he gets caught with the shot in round 1, and that was his downfall. As soon as he got caught with that shot, it was all downhill from there. And then round 5, I watching it, I actually thought, whoa, this could be a big upset if he comes forward and actually stops Triple D. That would be impressive, but obviously he risked the uppercut, the lead uppercut, and with his hands down, and boom, that's it, all over Red Rover. So what can you do? Anyway, what's next for AJ? I don't know, because he does have a rematch clause, and I don't know if they're just going to wait to see what happens with Usyk Fury, and maybe if Fury loses, maybe go after Fury. I don't know. They could just take on the rematch clause and take on Triple D again. But listening to what Eddie Hearn has had to say, it seems like he's going to have at least one more fight, because he's listening to an interview of his. He told AJ that he's got 1 to 3 fights left in him. So I don't think AJ is retiring anytime soon. And it looks like he'll have at least 1 up to possibly 3 more fights and then call it a day. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if they if he tries to target the winner or loser of Usyk versus Fury, or where he goes from there. Because if he's only got 1 or 2 more fights left in him, you can't start rebuilding. You've got to just take the big fights. So from listening to what Eddie Hearn is saying, if he's saying he's only got 2 to 3 fights left in him, 1, 2 or 3 fights left in him, then that means you're going to be aiming for the big fights, your next fights, because that's it. Go big, go for the glory, and then that's it. It's over. So it looks like AJ will probably continue and have at least 1 more fight. And depending on how that fight goes and who it's against, will determine whether he continues on and whether he does retire. But he's not going to retire. He's not going to retire right now. He'll have at least 1 more fight, from what Eddie Hearn has been saying. Triple D, I think Triple D will look at... I don't think he'll fight this year. I think they're more looking at the same thing, targeting the winner of Usyk versus Fury. So they're going to be looking for the big fights. I mean, Triple D has earned a big fight after knocking out AJ. So he's up there in like the top 3 at least now in the heavyweight division. So potentially the winner of Usyk. So rematch against Usyk, possibly, or potentially a fight against Fury, depending on the winner, or he might even take on the loser. Who knows? Because they're just going to be looking for the big money, and I could imagine Fury versus Triple D, the same thing. Have that in Wembley, have a massive crowd, and making money from that. That'll be an interesting one. That'll be one that people want to see. I think that will have more value in it than the rematch against Usyk. But we'll wait and see what happens with that. So what else is going on? So the fights are coming up now. Dmitry Bivol. The next big one is Dmitry Bivol versus Artura Beterbiev. So that's going to be a good fight. Looking forward to that one. So we have Beterbiev 20 wins with 20 KOs. So 100% KO ratio for Beterbiev against, obviously, Bivol, who has that standout win against Canelo. He's sitting at 23 wins with 12 KOs. Not really a KO artist, but still a very talented fighter, especially if you watch the Canelo fight, how he picked apart Canelo. It was an impressive fight. So next, I just want to talk about Turki Al-Sheikh. So all these deals and everything that's going on with Turki Al-Sheikh recently. So there's an article here with it's a bit of an older article about Simon Jordan warns Eddie Hearn they can turn your lights out. So, and this is more about Eddie Hearn being a bit more careful about dealing so much with Turki Al-Sheikh and the potential grip that Turki Al-Sheikh can have on the sport. So Jordan Hearn engaged in another competitive, captivating debate during the live broadcast at TalkSport, with a large portion centered around the Matchroom chairman's involvement with Saudi Arabia and specifically Turki Al-Sheikh, who has been instrumental in establishing the region as a major player in the boxing world. That he helped organize the 5 vs 5. And same with the Daniel Dubois fight. So here's one of the comments here's one of the comments from the discussion. When you replace the establishment, you become the establishment, Jordan said. We are in a unique period. These guys are getting these fights made for them. They just turn up, and that, for me, is not much of a skill set. it does make me wonder if the end goal is, if the Saudis say, what do we need these guys for? They are glorified agents. Yeah, so basically he was talking about pretty much the Saudis cutting out the promoters, because what do you need the promoters for if you can just make these fights happen? You just throw money at fights and you just make them happen. And why are you paying the promoters? So that was more the warning to Eddie Hearn from Simon Jordan. But you can see the grasp of Turki Al-Sheikh is having on the sport. And I don't know, I'm in two minds about it. Like, it's good and it's bad. It's good that these fights are being made, these big fights that probably wouldn't have been made otherwise, or maybe they would have, but not at the rate they are getting made. But on the other hand, there is a lot of control now going towards Saudi Arabia and Turki Al-Sheikh in particular. And I seen that on the weekend because prior to the fight of Triple D versus AJ, they played the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia anthem. And this fight was in the UK. So it didn't really make sense to me why they were playing that anthem. And none of the fighters are from Saudi Arabia. And you're not fighting in Saudi Arabia. I get it that Turki Al-Sheikh's from there. And he obviously organized all this stuff. But it's just showing the impact that Turki Al-Sheikh is actually having on the sport, and how much of an influence and how much control he's starting to gain. I mean, all the fighters, not all the fighters, a lot of the fighters are bowing down to him because he's throwing money at them and the promoters. And the ones that haven't, like Canelo, he gets annoyed with, and he starts saying stuff like starts saying stuff to him through the social media, saying that he will boycott his fights, go to the UFC and make that bigger than his fight, and things like that. And then the same with Tim Tszyu as well. So Tim Tszyu hasn't really said anything, but I think his team has sort of shut down Turki Al-Sheikh. And Tim Tszyu is the type of person that just wants to fight. He wants the big fights, and that's his main goal. And I assume that was the same goal of Turki Al-Sheikh, that he wanted to see the big fights, that he wanted, regardless of the fighters' teams and who they're working for, he wanted to make the big fights happen. But he has mentioned that he won't work with Tim Tszyu, and for whatever reason, they've offended him, and now he just won't work with them. When Tim Tszyu is probably the number one guy in his division. If not, he's either second or first in the division. If you put Terence Crawford in the mix, then he might come under Terence Crawford, or he might be even. Depends. They haven't fought, so who knows? But to say that a guy that is about to fight for the world title, had a world title, fought for a unification, and saying that you won't work with him, but you want to make big fights, then to me that just doesn't make sense. And that is probably that's the thing to sort of be weary of, is if you have someone that takes so much control over boxing, then it's easy for them to just shut down people that shouldn't be shut down just because you have an issue with them. So, and then it just comes back to the whole, you're just another promoter. You got something against a fighter or something against a team, then you're just going to try and shut them down or not put them on your promotion or whatever. So you're not doing what you're saying you want to do, is make the big fights. Because if that's what you really want to do, you're not going to have these little tantrums because you didn't get what you want from a fighter's team. But I don't know exactly what happened, but for him just to say that I won't work with Tim Tszyu, that's pretty, I don't know, I think it's pretty ridiculous, and I think it's pretty petty. So And do you really want someone to have more control in boxing that can be petty like that? I don't know. I don't think it's a good idea. But that's just my thoughts. So see what happens. See how much control he gets. He's already getting his anthems played in the UK for a fight where there's no Saudi Arabia fighters. So the control is slowly taking over. And this is it here. This is the just before the Triple D and the AJ fight. So
at this time we honor them as special guest recording star Rashid Al-Majid will sing the national anthem of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
This is what I don't get. Why are they singing the anthem for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia? There's no Saudi Arabian fighter there. It's not in Saudi Arabia. It's in the UK. So when I seen that, I just thought, whoa, that's just a bit of control coming from Turkey Al Sheikh. And it's not the normal way you would do things in boxing. Like you wouldn't play someone's anthem of a promoter because they're over there promoting the fight. It just seemed a bit like the control is slowly gaining its grip. So that's just how I seen it anyway. And on that same night, this was another one that was interesting. Eddie Hearn and Devin Haney having a bit of an argument. So having a bit of a disagreement. You can't hear anything. There's no audio for this. It's just the footage. You can see them. Just from the body language, you can tell that they're not happy with each other. I do know what happened, and I do have that information. So, and then if you go to Devin Haney's account, you'll see he's throwing a bit of a tantrum because Eddie Hearn didn't get him tickets. So, and he pretty much called him fake on social media. So, and then he started hyping up Bob Arum and Oscar De La Hoya, saying that they're better promoters, and that Eddie was two-faced. So, and then I heard the interview. So this is the actual interview of Eddie Hearn talking about that incident. So take a listen.
His number one priority is to rematch Daniel Dubois.
Last one before I let you go, totally from Saturday, but separate to the card. Conor Benn, of all people, filmed you and Devin Haney having an argument. What was
it? This is funny that it's Conor Benn. I only just realised this. Because you go to Devin Haney's social media and he's just putting down Conor Benn everywhere. Just giving him crap. Anyway, they're obviously having some sort of social media fight. So that was funny that Conor Benn actually captured this.
What was the crack there? What was being said? It looked kind of heated. Didn't look like you were.
It was heated because I don't know if you saw the Twitter
about the tickets.
Yeah, and I just couldn't believe. Like, bear in mind the relationship that I've got with Devin. Bear in mind everything that we've been through. I could not believe he would put that out on social media, because he was moaning, and this is what he was trying to say to me. He said, no, I received a message from him at 6 a.m. on the day of the fight saying, I need tickets for Joshua.
So the day of the fight, he was trying to get tickets. And I'm sure Eddie Hearn's running around trying to organise everything and sort things out, and probably wouldn't have the time to just stop and go, oh, here you go, here's tickets.
He messaged me, I think, 24 hours before saying, yo, right? And I had so much going on, I didn't reply. And then when I replied Friday night, he messaged me back Saturday at 6 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning. I need tickets for tonight. And firstly, all of the inner ringside tickets were pre-assigned with His Excellency and various people. Plus, we had months' notice from our fighters who had put in requests that we'd sorted out. So at that point, we just don't have the tickets. Right? So I said, look, it's not solely our show that, we're just working on the event. You may have to ask Riyadh season, for the tickets. No reply. So then I'm sitting there at the show and it's like, wow, Eddie Hearn didn't get me tickets. This is he's so two-faced. It's like, so I just replied, I said, you're an arrogant fucking prick, to be honest with you. And I pulled him at the show and I said, what do you think you're doing? And he said, well, hey. I said, no, not hey. I said, what are you doing? I said, one, you couldn't be more arrogant. Two, why are you just not messaging me after I messaged you to say, come on, Eddie, you sure you can't help? Whatever. You put a tweet out. I said, you're like a little kid.
Yeah, it's pretty childish. And if you got an issue with someone, just confront them about it. But yeah, obviously Devin Haney just turned straight to social media and had his little bitch on social media about Eddie Hearn. So anyway, that was that whole issue, and that's why that all kicked off, which I thought was pretty funny. And so I'm not sure what's happening. I think this is an older article, but still waiting to hear what happens with this fight. Apparently, David Benavidez and Gervonta Davis are supposed to be fighting potentially on the 14th of December on a pay-per-view doubleheader. So I've looked at them on BoxRec. I can't see any fights or anything. I haven't seen anything in the news, so I don't know what's happening, if they're still going to push for a fight for this time frame, 14th of December. But that'll be good. That'll be a good fight. So that'll be a big December then. Have this fight, and then that'll lead straight into the Usyk Fury fight. So it'll be a good December. But yeah, that's it. That's all I've got. Anyone have any comments? I'm just doing a live stream just because I want to just start doing live streams and start engaging a bit more with people. So if anyone has comments, I'll try and do this every Wednesday. Start having live streams. They're probably a bit more organized than this one. This one was a bit rushed, but next one will be better. Hopefully. Anyway, that's all I've got. Thanks for watching, people who have watched. And until next time, peace out.